being in a state of being more aware, practicing being more aware, and just kind of that type of data, I think, just kind of you're practicing it. So you kind of start to accumulate that type of data over time. And I don't think it's a stretch to think that the brain, reacts differently if you feed it different types of data. And the type of data that you're feeding the brain in meditation I would call it unique because it's reflective data of yourself. And so I think um, it does this thing where it makes you more aware. Um, it uh, it does this thing where I think it probably populates the psyche with those type of ideas more, and I think it's not a stretch to say that the brain kind of grows in that direction. Um, of maybe being tuned, maybe its senses are a little bit more tuned differently now, or something along those lines. So it is something that it's your own journey. Like you practice it and you kind of grow into it. And it's, I think it makes you more aware, and then I think that it helps you kind of maybe conceptualize nature, some simplicity found in nature. Ideas derived from nature. Ideas like a pathway, um, for yourself. So this whole possibly, this whole other idea then that could you be more synchronized? Could you be more aligned? Could you be more kind of uh, maybe even just objective about your own life? Maybe a little bit more rational too, because you have this opportunity to be more just in a state of awareness. And so, will that help you survive? I think so. I think that probably all the meditators would say so. Um, and um, and I think it's a unique experience also that you can like be living life and be having a, a subjectively different state of consciousness practice just based off of focusing on your breath and lowering your heart rate and probably allowing your brain to function uh, in a more relaxed state or something. Um, and who knows how the memory works and how, the brain works. I would love to hear a conversation on this, but imagine that you start meditating, you lower your heart rate, you kind of slip into this state where the the brain is, since it's a lowered, more peaceful, restful state, maybe it can even become more abstract and organize data from kind of an abstract, physiological uh, state. Something like that is not that is not that crazy to imagine. And there's a lot of thinkers, writers. I'm thinking of Jung for sure, who's really interested in the idea of the consciousness and dreams and um, kind of psychology, physiology, I suppose, and history. How the psyche has interpreted or evolved. Its anthropology. So there probably is some really great physiological evidence that converges very nicely with how the brain stores memory and how a practice like meditation can aid the biological processes. You know, I would really enjoy a conversation like that because I believe in the practice. I think it's a good idea, um, and I think that the conversations um, that are had in this kind of idea of knowing the self. I think the conversations that kind of a journey where you try to know yourself. One of the things that I think that happens is that that person becomes more aware. That person probably has more of an opportunity to become more authentic. And so the kind of conversations that come out of the group of people who are, aware of the idea of the self, um, I think that they are interesting conversations. Um, and so, and so, if you, it's not just, I don't know, I think that if one of the things that you probably want to do in life is have better converse with life, have better converse with the self, yourself, and just with life, as it, you know, as it is even this very moment, whatever it is for you, you probably want to have better converse with it in the future. The brain's probably sending some cocktail of molecules that's trending in that direction. And so it's like, how do you, how do you embrace the human condition so, you get something along the lines of that. Um, And so, there is just, great ideas, I think, happening in the realm and a domain of like philosophy and or just being here, just having ideas about just embracing the human condition, uh, which, has thus survived. So just, I think that the materials that you need to change are going to come from a state of awareness and are going to be trending in that direction of converse anyway. So how do you better be? How do you better live in the present? And and maybe they always have been trending in that direction. Maybe very crudely, uh, but maybe more subtly as well. Maybe the converse has always kind of been trending in that direction to some type of pattern. But more than likely, you would like I suspect that you would like to have better converse with life, and I think that meditation and practicing it, mindfulness, you might find it very helpful. It might be a tool that might help you a lot. Of practice might help you a lot. It might, do things for you. That kind of sounds abstract, but what if it, how abstract is this idea? What if it helps you put your best foot forward? What if it starts just naturally, just kind of, it gets a hold of you and just you're just reflecting on yourself, and next thing you know, you're changing the way you think a little bit. That is not, that an uncommon thing, I don't think, for people who meditate to kind of be just a little bit more aware of those type of ideas. So, yeah, um, hope you have been enjoying the videos, and I hope meditation is a practice that you might consider.